teacher is supposed to be this noble figure who protects and guides their students through life. But the reality is just endless questions and kids constantly pestering you to grab lunch together. Solo is definitely feeling the burnout. For him, this whole teaching gig is just a massive headache. Watching the kids fly around on their brooms, he's pretty sure he picked the wrong profession. This is the Orion School of Magic, a massive boarding school where the elite come to train. He's stuck with Class D, the group of students who are basically one step away from failing out. Magic is used for everything, from mundane daily chores to hunting down dangerous monsters. Solo puts on his best teacher face, trying to sound inspiring while holding up his guidebook. He even tries to get fancy during a transformation lesson by turning himself into a literal chicken. It doesn't really help. The class is a total mess, with kids hanging from the ceiling and ignoring him completely. Most of them don't even look at the board, way more interested in gossiping than actually learning magic. Maiko Cecilia is a prime example. She's too busy showing off her manicure to care about the lesson. She's obsessed with her navy blue nails, which are apparently magically color-changing. Solo, still stuck in chicken form, can barely keep it together as he introduces himself as Solo Pastry. By the end of the day, he's completely spent, collapsing face first onto his bed. He's seriously struggling. These students won't listen to a single word he says. He tries to find answers in a teaching manual, but the advice to always smile just makes him more annoyed. He wonders if a teacher can really change a student's future, or if it's all just a lost cause. Looking around his messy room, he feels like his cover as a kind teacher is a total failure. He stares at his mission wall, wishing he could just finish the job and go home already. In this world, society is split into two groups, those who can use magic and those who can't. For regular people, breaking something important is usually just a disaster they can't fix. But a wizard can step in and solve the problem in seconds, making them look like heroes. That's the ideal. Wizards are supposed to be useful to society. But Solo knows the dark side of that. He understands better than anyone that the world doesn't actually run on noble ideals and pretty words. Sometimes it's just about survival, like this old guy offering a mountain of cash just to be spared. He's begging for mercy, but the person standing over him isn't listening. Solo doesn't care about the money. He's just there to fulfill his contract because this is his real job. He's an assassin, a professional whose entire life has been built around the art of killing. In the underworld, he's the legendary Number Zero, a top-tier hitman who never fails a mission. He spends his nights alone, drinking and thinking about the evil he's had to eliminate for the state. His boss reminds him that there are too many people abusing magic, and someone has to bury them. Solo takes it all in stride. As long as he's told who the target is, he'll take care of them. Being the guild's ace comes with a lot of pressure, but he's used to being their most reliable weapon. Normally, using magic to kill people would just make him another villain, but he sees it as necessary work. He liked being valued for his skills, but his latest assignment is a complete curveball. The guild wants him to infiltrate the Orion School of Magic for an undercover mission. When he's told he has to become a teacher for the job, he's absolutely stunned. He tries to fight it, but the guild has already set everything up. He doesn't have a choice. And that's how he ended up here, swapping his daggers for a school bell. It's been 2 weeks since he started, and he still hasn't heard a single word from the guild about the target. He's stuck grading papers with zero academic experience, feeling completely out of his element. Solo's trying to stay positive, telling himself it's fine because he's not actually going to be a teacher for long. He's just about to enter the faculty room when another staff member catches him, saying the timing is perfect for an introduction. To his absolute shock, the new transfer student for Class D turns out to be Ibuki, the silver-haired boy from earlier. Ibuki keeps it professional, offering a polite greeting while Solo starts sweating bullets behind his glasses. Solo awkwardly welcomes him, already dreading the fact that another troublesome student has been added to his plate. With Ibuki joining, that makes 13 students in Class D, and Solo can barely handle the 12 he already has. As they walk through the halls, Solo puts on his best fake smile, asking Ibuki about his old school, while secretly wishing he could quit on the spot. Ibuki's response is as dry as it gets, simply calling his previous school average. Solo's internally seething, thinking about how kids this age have zero respect for adults, despite him only being 10 years older. Suddenly, Ibuki stops in his tracks and puts a finger to his lips, signaling Solo to be quiet. Solo's confused by the sudden change in atmosphere, wondering what the kid is up to now. Ibuki's eyes glint with a strange power as he casts a spell to erase their conversation from the ears of anyone else in the building. Solo is stunned. There's no way a normal student should be able to pull off high-level silence magic like that. That's when the kid drops the bombshell. He's actually been assigned as Solo's partner, and he knows his real identity as Number Zero. Solo's brain is short-circuiting at the idea of having a partner for a solo undercover mission. Ibuki explains that they need to keep their communication strictly classified to avoid any leaks. He reveals that he's fully aware of Solo's reputation as a hitman for the Chronos Guild, which only makes Solo more irritated. But then Ibuki's cold demeanor completely shatters as he begs for the honor of shaking Solo's hand. It turns out Ibuki is a massive fanboy, claiming that everyone in the assassination industry knows and admires Number Zero's work. He starts rattling off Solo's career highlights like he's reading a fan wiki, leaving the legendary hitman absolutely mortified. Ibuki formally introduces himself as a member of the Department of Magic's Specialized Assassination Unit. He emphasizes that this is a state-sponsored request and that they absolutely cannot afford to fail. He goes on about Chronos, the guild known for doing the dirty work necessary to wipe out evil in the underworld. Solo tries to keep it humble, saying he's just doing his job, but Ibuki is convinced their mission is one of pure justice. The kid is basically glowing with pride to be working with his idol, while Solo just sighs, missing the days when he worked alone. They decide to play along with the teacher-student act until the school day ends, right as the bell rings for class to start. Solo reminds him that pretending is part of the job and that they'll discuss the target in detail later. Ibuki is beyond excited, thinking about how cool it is to see Number Zero actually playing the role of a teacher. Back in Class D, Ibuki introduces himself to the room, but the students don't seem particularly impressed. Solo tries to keep things moving, but Maiko Cecilia immediately raises her hand to chime in. She suggests they skip the boring lessons and throw a welcome party for the new transfer student instead. When Solo tells them to focus because of a test next week, the whole class groans, calling him a total downer. Solo decides to just leave Maiko be for now, but he's not the only one watching her. Ibuki is glaring at the girl with a chilling intensity, literally asking Solo if he should just take her out right then and there. Solo nearly has a heart attack, whispering to Ibuki to cut out before he blows their entire cover. Ibuki apologizes, saying he just couldn't stand seeing Number Zero getting insulted by a student, but Solo tells him to stand down. Solo's starting to realize that his new partner is a total loose cannon. Meanwhile, the other girls are eager to grill Ibuki with questions. Ibuki brushes them off with a cold stare, insisting that school is for studying, which only makes the class think he's a massive drag. Maiko thinks he's way too serious for his own good, while Ibuki just looks at her with total confusion. She explains that Class D is the bottom of the barrel, so they might as well just have fun. She even shows off her navy nails again. Ibuki is left processing the fact that he's been categorized as a low-ranking wizard egg by a group of dropouts. Maiko lays out the school's brutal hierarchy, explaining that Class D is basically the trash bin for students with the worst grades. Maiko Cecilia explains the cold reality of Class D, where teachers have zero expectations and simply act as temporary fillers. She notes that Solo feels like just another replacement who's only there to do a job, which strikes a bit too close to the truth for the undercover hitman. The other students chime in, recalling how their last teacher was so unmotivated they didn't even bother to learn anyone's names before quitting. Maiko tells Ibuki to just relax, claiming that in a place like Class D, there isn't a single teacher who actually cares about the students' well-being. As night falls over the academy, the hoot of an owl echoes through the dark, quiet woods surrounding the school grounds. Solo lets out a long, weary sigh, feeling the weight of another exhausting day spent playing a role he's clearly not suited for. Ibuki appears to offer a good work, but Solo is internally screaming, feeling even more drained by his partner's intense presence. They walk through the forest together, Solo wondering why he couldn't have just been a janitor instead of dealing with classroom politics and monster patrols. Sensing his partner's foul mood, Ibuki bluntly asks if Solo actually hates his role as a teacher. This triggers an epic rant from Solo, who lists everything from the early mornings to the stuffy outfits and the students' disrespect as reasons why this job is pure torture. Solo thinks back to his life as an assassin. It was simple: dispose of the target, get the money, and get the praise. Teaching, on the other hand, is a different story. He honestly doesn't see what's supposed to be fun about this kind of work. Solo and Ibuki are out on a night patrol when Solo asks if there's really anyone dangerous at an ordinary magic school like this. Ibuki doesn't hesitate. He says the target is an evil wizard, and an extremely powerful one at that. Solo is about to hear the name when a sudden scream cuts through the night. They spot a student alone in the woods. It's Maiko Cecilia. Solo is confused. It's way past lights out, so he wonders what she's doing out here in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, she raises her wand and screams for a transformation. She's trying to turn herself into a dragon. She keeps shouting, "Transform," but nothing is happening besides some crickets chirping in the background. Ibuki realizes this must be her special training. She's acting way more intense out here than she ever does during class. Solo thinks a dragon transformation is out of her league, but Ibuki sees an opportunity. Since nobody's around, they can take out the target right now. Solo's brain stalls for a second. Target, he repeats. Ibuki confirms it with a straight face. Their current target is Maiko Cecilia. Solo is hit with a wave of disbelief. No matter how you look at it, she's just an ordinary student. Maiko is losing it, yelling why, because she can't get the spell right. But then something shifts. A massive burst of light erupts from her body as she begins to change. The ground shakes as a roar splits the night air. Ibuki and Solo can only watch. And just like that, a massive white feathered dragon is standing right in front of them. Solo can't believe his eyes. She actually managed to transform into a literal dragon. The beast opens its mouth and lets out a devastating blast of energy. The explosion is massive, and Solo barely has time to react as the power washes over them. Ibuki jumps in front of him, throwing up a magic barrier to shield them both from the blast. Ibuki tells him not to worry. They're partners, so he's got his back. But the relief is short-lived. His military-grade barrier ring snaps and shatters from just that one hit. The girl has completely lost herself to the transformation. Solo asks how this is connected to her being a target. Ibuki looks him dead in the eye and mentions something called egg smashing. He explains that they target wizard eggs, kids who are destined to become major threats in the future. Using precognition, the government identifies these dangerous individuals and kills them before they can hatch into true monsters. It's a secret operation. Ibuki admits that right now, she's still just an ordinary student. But the prophecy says she'll eventually become an evil master of transformation and murder a massive number of people. Solo tries to distance himself, saying it has nothing to do with him. Ibuki disagrees. Killing her for the sake of the country's future is his job. Solo realizes the transformation was triggered by an awakening that went way beyond her control. Ibuki prepares to strike. He wants to erase her from existence right here and now. He asks Solo for his thoughts, confident that they can take down a dragon together. Solo just gives him a blank look and simply says, "Nah, I'll pass." Ibuki watches in awe as Solo suddenly slides into the fray with insane power and speed. Solo admits he's a killer, but only when the other person is actually evil. He looks at the rampaging monster and notes that right now, she hasn't actually harmed anyone. In his eyes, she's still just a blameless child, and he refuses to pull the trigger. For Solo, murdering an innocent is just not how he operates. He tells Ibuki he won't stop him, but he won't help kill her. Ibuki screams that they're in the middle of a dragon attack, and this isn't the time for a debate. Ibuki argues that egg smashing is a necessary government policy designed to defend against future evil. Solo isn't convinced, wondering if education could have been enough to guide her away from that dark path. Ibuki can't believe what he's hearing, asking if the legendary assassin is actually trying to act like a real teacher. The dragon's massive eye remains fixed on them as the energy within its body begins to surge. A devastating blast erupts, and Ibuki screams in terror as the world around them turns into a blinding light. Ibuki is completely overwhelmed by the pressure, while Solo remains perfectly still against the force of the blast. Ibuki collapses onto the rocks, battered and gasping for air after the shockwave hits him. The beast lets out another deafening roar, preparing a final breath attack that they definitely won't survive. Solo steps forward, placing himself directly between the dragon and his partner to shield him. He makes it clear that he won't kill Maiko, but he won't let Ibuki get killed by her either. In an incredible display of skill, Solo cancels out the dragon's breath attack, telling Ibuki this is for saving him earlier. Ibuki is left speechless, completely in awe of Solo's overwhelming power. He can hardly believe his eyes. Solo just negated a lethal dragon breath in the literal blink of an eye. Solo stands before the rampaging beast and calls her name, telling Maiko Cecilia to remember her original self. He recites the details of her human form, the sky blue hair and indigo eyes, just like they discussed in class. The transformation begins to dissolve, and Maiko weakly calls out to her teacher as she returns to her human body. Maiko collapses onto the ground, her memories of the night already fading away like a hazy dream. Solo tells her sleep and forget everything, watching as her eyes finally close in exhaustion. Ibuki looks at the man, wondering if the legendary hitman actually has the heart of a decent teacher. Solo carries the sleeping girl, noting that she's simply exhausted herself by overusing her magic power. Solo is taken aback as Ibuki stares him down with a mixture of confusion and intense suspicion. Ibuki asks if Solo really understands the consequences of the massive choice he's just made. For a bookie, this is a clear breach of contract. Their entire purpose there was to eliminate the target. He asks if Solo is really just giving up on the mission and walking away from the assignment. Solo mumbles to himself, realizing this is the first time in his life he's ever backed out of a request. He realizes that if his own guild fires him for this, he might end up with a target on his back as well. The sun rises over the magic school the next morning, but things in Class D are far from peaceful. Solo sits at his desk with his head in his hands, completely panicking over his massive professional blunder. He's convinced that his reputation with the boss is completely trashed after what happened last night. In his head, he can already see himself being dismissed or even executed for failing to follow orders. Meanwhile, Maiko walks into class as if nothing happened, yawning and greeting her friends. She tells her classmates about a weird dream she had about becoming a dragon, and Solo realizes she doesn't remember a thing. Solo thinks back to the previous night, recalling the small details he used to anchor her identity. He figures that his background in assassination just makes it easy for him to memorize the appearances of others. He stares at the classroom, his mind drifting into deeper thoughts as he watches his students. A memory flashes of a younger version of himself, chained up alone in a dark room full of trash. He thinks about how most kids are just looking for an adult to actually acknowledge who they are. He looks at Maiko, seeing her as a person rather than just a target to be neutralized. The classroom door slides open as a bookie suddenly steps inside, catching Solo's attention immediately. The bookie catches his eye and gives him a quiet signal, clearly bringing important news from higher up. The bookie tells him that against all odds, Maiko Cecilia's future has actually undergone a massive change. Because Solo spared her, the precognition has shifted, and she is no longer destined to become an evil wizard. The bookie explains that the details are still vague, but he received word from the higher-ups this very morning. He reveals that after Solo's intervention, a new precognition has shown that the future itself has begun to shift. Solo's eyes light up as he realizes this could mean the mission to kill Maiko has been officially withdrawn. But Ibuki quickly dampens his excitement, explaining that the main task, changing the futures of the remaining 11 students, is just beginning. The government has decided to integrate the 12th target into the class, making for 13 students in total. Ibuki looks around the classroom, confirming that there are 12 individuals in Class D who are of grave concern to the state. A sequence of images shows the students of Class D appearing normal, but their dark potential lurks beneath the surface. Ibuki reveals the terrifying truth. According to the original prophecy, these 12 students were destined to become the wizards who destroy the country. He formally delivers Solo's new mission. Instead of an assassin, he must act as a teacher to change their worst possible future. Solo stares in silence, finally understanding the true weight of the responsibility that has been placed on his shoulders. Solo is poking around the faculty room when he finds a dusty stack of papers. The arrogant teacher sees him and starts cackling like he just heard the best joke ever. He tells Solo he completely forgot to hand over these old test results when he started the job. Then he gets serious for a second just to say there's zero hope for the losers in Class D. Solo just looks at the results, thinking about how he's basically an assassin playing dress-up as a teacher. He flips through the pages, and it's a disaster. Scores like 7 and 16 points all over the place. He stares out at the school, wondering if these failing kids really grow up to be world-ending threats. But duty calls, so he slaps on a fake smile and heads in to play his role as the friendly instructor. The second he hands back the tests, the classroom erupts into pure chaos. Solo stands there, thinking that he absolutely hates this and that he's terrible with kids. Kai is over there reading a cookbook, while Azu is literally mixing potions in the middle of a history lesson. Dante is just shouting. Ibuki is hanging from the ceiling, and the rest of them are just as distracted. He realizes they're all just goofing off, making it impossible for him to actually guide them. Ibuki, also known as student number 13, tries his best to get everyone to settle down. Dante doesn't want to hear it and tells the transfer student to give a rest. He basically tells him there's no point in acting like a star student when you're in the dregs of Class D. Kai just wants to enjoy the school life they have left, even if everyone else thinks they're the bottom of the barrel. Ibuki is left looking completely exhausted by the lack of discipline in the room. Watching them, Solo starts to think that maybe they aren't monsters, they're just normal, slightly dumb kids. Maiko, our student number 09, just leans on her hand, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Later that night, things are a lot quieter back at the boys' dormitory. Ibuki is still letting out long sighs over how the school day went. Once they're behind closed doors, Ibuki gets some tea ready so they can talk about their actual mission. Solo admits that the whole student vibe is harder to manage than he expected. Ibuki gets worked up saying he can't stand how the other students look down on Solo. But Solo has to stay focused. He reminds a bookie that being a teacher is just his cover story for now. He's actually gone through the trouble of preparing everything for a high-stakes meeting. He explains that the Department of Magic were the ones who originally ordered the hit on Class D. If this talk goes well, he might actually be able to get back to his guild safely. Suddenly, a hand reaches out of the teacup as the client accepts the invitation. The room instantly fills with swirling magical energy and sparkling lights. Solo stays perfectly calm, his eyes fixed on the shift in reality. In the blink of an eye, he's dropped into a void surrounded by a massive horde of monsters. They're everywhere, snarling and staring him down from the shadows. One of the beasts lunges forward, slamming its heavy claws into the ground right in front of him. Solo realizes this is a gauge. The client is testing his abilities before they talk business. He just pulls his hood over his head, looking completely unfazed by the threat. A magic circle pulses on the floor beneath him as he gets ready to end this quickly. He summons an entire fleet of glowing swords, calling out his Unbreaking Dawn technique. With a single command, his witch's arsenal locks onto every monster in the area. He tears through the entire pack in a second, his only real concern being that he doesn't want to get dirty. The monsters are gone just as fast as they appeared, leaving Solo standing alone in the aftermath. Solo finds himself standing in the middle of a massive field of white roses, and he's definitely not in Kansas anymore. He's barely processed where he is when a voice calls out to him, welcoming him to the party. Sitting at a table with enough snacks is Ms. Rose, a mysterious woman in a fancy floral mask and a black dress. She calls him by his real name, Number Zero. She introduces herself as a high-ranking member of the Department of Magic and the one who actually hired him. Solo stares at her, realizing she's using top-tier magic just to keep her face hidden from him. She invites him to take a seat, explaining that this rose garden is her private spot for dealing with outsiders. Solo is shocked to see a bookie is already there, playing the role of a butler and pouring tea like it's a day job. Ms. Rose apologizes for that earlier skill test with the monsters, which Solo is clearly still sweating over. She was impressed, though. Not every wizard can summon an entire witch's arsenal and wipe out a horde in one shot. Solo gets a little flustered by the compliment, but tries to stay focused on why he's actually there. Ms. Rose brings up his current mission, explaining that it's not just about guarding kids. She clarifies that his real target isn't a person, but a worst possible future that he needs to stop by any means necessary. Solo isn't feeling it. He reminds her he's a professional killer, not some babysitter meant to be a role model. He tries to wiggle out of it, claiming he's totally unqualified and would probably just ruin the kids' lives. Ms. Rose just snaps her fingers and tells him he's already doing an amazing job. To prove her point, she gestures toward a wall of ornate, floating paintings that look like windows into another time. She explains that she loves her country and its capital, showing them a peaceful landscape of the city. Then the mood shifts as she shows them a dark, chaotic painting, the country falling into ruin at the hands of 12 evil wizards. Solo's eyes widen when she drops the bomb. Those world-ending wizards are actually his students from Class D. She points to a specific portrait drawn by a wizard with precognition, showing the face of the first threat. It's a grown-up version of Myco Cecilia, and the resemblance is uncanny. Solo is stunned, asking how a bunch of regular students could ever end up as legendary villains. Ms. Rose admits they don't see the whole picture. Their precognition only shows them random, terrifying fragments. Still, they've been using these glimpses for years to stop national disasters before they even start. For her, the worst possible future is the only thing that matters. How they stop it is just a detail. This is the logic behind egg smashing, killing the dangerous wizards while they're still eggs in school. But something weird happened. Myco Cecilia is suddenly missing from the dark future. Because of Solo's intervention, the future where Myco destroys the town has completely vanished from the map. Ibuki watches as Ms. Rose drops a rose petal into her tea, asking the million-dollar question, why did her fate change? She points right at Solo, telling him he's the one who single-handedly rewrote Myco's destiny. Solo just stands there, trying to wrap his head around the fact that he actually saved someone for once. Then she shows them a new painting of a classroom labeled 3D, which Ibuki finds pretty suspicious. Ms. Rose explains that this is what's supposed to happen to Class D in exactly 1 year. In the original timeline, every single student in the class is destined to drop out and vanish into the shadows. Solo is shocked that they're all supposed to fail that hard, but Ms. Rose points out that Myco is the outlier now. Instead of appearing in the evil future, she's now showing up in a future where she actually stays in school. Ms. Rose lays it out, If the students stay in school instead of dropping out, they never become evil wizards in the first place. Solo thinks that sounds way too simple, but she reminds him that Maiko would have definitely quit if her dragon rampage hadn't been stopped. Since Solo stepped in and saved her from herself, he's already proven that the future isn't set in stone. This is the first time an egg-smashing mission has ended in a save, so she wants him to keep it up. She tells him that by keeping these kids in school, he's basically killing the villains they would have become. Solo is sweating buckets, thinking this whole teaching gig is getting way too complicated. Ms. Rose points out that as their teacher, Solo is in the perfect spot to step in and change things before they go south. Solo realizes she's right, but the thought of having to constantly monitor a bunch of teenagers for 2 whole weeks is making him break out in a cold sweat. Ibuki, always the observant one, pipes up with a serious question for Ms. Rose as Solo continues to have a silent meltdown in the background. He gets that Solo's job is important, but he's still not entirely sold on why they're taking this long, complicated route. Ibuki points out that just getting rid of the threats like they used to would be way more efficient for the sake of the country. Ms. Rose's response is simple and unexpectedly soft. She doesn't want to kill the children if she doesn't have to. Solo and Ibuki are both stunned into silence by her admission, realizing there's more to her than just cold-blooded national security. She admits she's done plenty of dirty work for the country, but she's always hated having to hurt children. Now, she finally has another choice. As white birds soar over the city, she explains that saving the kids and the country is what protecting the future truly looks like, leaving Solo speechless. Ms. Rose asks Number Zero if he shares her opinion on the matter. She points out that his report claimed Maiko is a blameless child, and he can't bring himself to kill her. She tells him that since they share the same ambition, he'll surely manage to protect Class D, for now. But her tone turns dark as she mentions what happens if he can't stop them from dropping out of school. If that happens, the students will have to be dealt with according to their original lethal plan. Ms. Rose explains that Class D's assassination is merely on hold for the time being. She reminds him the mission is top secret, and she's counting on him to succeed. Suddenly, she decides the meeting is over and ends it with a literal puff of smoke. As she leaves, she tells him to use Ibuki as his ally and partner. Ms. Rose tells Solo to put everything on the line to save those children before he's sent on his way. Her final words are a cold warning about what happens if he ever breaks their contract. She threatens to crush his entire guild if he fails, leaving Solo sweating behind his glasses. With a polite suggestion to have tea again sometime, her presence fades away. Solo slams onto the floor with a thud, while Ibuki lands perfectly and offers a calm apology for the commotion. The legendary assassin stays face down in a pile of gloom on the wooden floor. He realizes that despite her polite tea party, the national big shots only deal in threats. Solo forces himself up, knowing he has no choice but to pull this job off for the sake of his guild. He turns to Ibuki and tells him that once again, he's counting on him as a partner. Ibuki's face lights up with pure joy at being officially acknowledged by his idol. Solo is impressed by how fast the boy can switch from professional assassin to fanboy. Ibuki admits he had some doubts about Solo's resolve back at the tea party. He explains that orders are absolute for him, and he claims to have no personal feelings about his work. Solo finds it hard to believe Ms. Rose actually cares about children, while Ibuki remains firm about his duty. The boy promises that if there's no other way, he will be the one to eliminate Class D. Ibuki adds that he respects Solo's intention to avoid a job he doesn't agree with. Solo thinks to himself that he's definitely found quite the intense partner. Suddenly, the door is kicked open by Kai and Dante, who've been looking for the new transfer student. Solo tries to act natural, claiming he was just showing Ibuki around the dorms. The students completely ignore him, questioning if they should even bother inviting the teacher along. They decide to just borrow Ibuki for a bit, leaving Solo standing alone in the room. They lead him to a garden where Maiko and Azu are waiting with a full picnic spread. It turns out to be a surprise welcome party for Ibuki, as they've nicknamed him. Kai steps up first and offers him a bag of sweets he made himself as a gift. Azu follows up with her specially made beauty potion, much to Ibuki's shock. Dante laughs and warns Ibuki that he's just becoming Azu's new magic guinea pig. The group swarms Ibuki with gifts, even demanding they all take a group photo together. Ibuki is completely overwhelmed by the sudden attention, wondering what is even happening. The kids cheer and call these items tokens of friendship for their new classmate. Maiko steps in and hands him a bottle of her favorite brand of nail polish. She smiles, mentioning that she was the one who thought of having a welcome party in the first place. Ibuki reminds himself he can't get close to his targets, but wonders if Solo should have been here too. The students immediately reject the idea, saying that having a teacher around would totally ruin the fun. Ibuki notes that Solo seems to have quite the reputation among the students, even if they claim not to like him. Maiko and the others grumble about Solo's constant grin, though they secretly appreciate that he doesn't get angry with them. Solo watches them from a balcony, overhearing every word and realizing that welcome parties really aren't his thing. He recalls his conversation with Ms. Rose, remembering how she questioned if he truly shared her desire to save the children. Solo told her it wasn't about being a hero, he just didn't want the bad aftertaste of killing innocent kids. He maintains the lie that he's only doing this for his own peace of mind, not because he actually cares for them. He laughs off the idea of being like-minded with a high-ranking official, insisting he's just following orders because he has to. He tries to convince himself that they're all just a bunch of snotty brats he happened to get stuck with. Solo wonders if the students were already planning this party for Ibuki even while they were still in class. An arrogant teacher approaches Solo on the balcony, asking what he's doing out here. The teacher brags about his own recognition after Class B's average test scores went up. He mocks Solo for being assigned to Class D, claiming the students only care about playing around. The man adds that Class D only exists so people like him have someone to look down on for peace of mind. Solo keeps his mouth shut while the man continues his elitist rant, watching Ibuki from above. Down in the garden, Toturi steps forward, announcing her interest in gardening and her special gift. She reveals a rare fire poppy, a magical species that blooms with spectacular fireworks. The arrogant teacher laughs, certain that a dropout from Class D could never make such a difficult flower bloom. He continues to mock the students, claiming they lack both the talent and the diligence to ever succeed. Solo watches Toturi's intense concentration, feeling a flash of irritation at the teacher's smugness. Without saying a word, he uses his advanced magic to secretly assist her cast. Toturi swings her wand, and the fire poppy begins to pulse with intense energy. The bulb suddenly expands, making a strange creaking sound as it prepares to burst. An enormous, glowing geometric floral display erupts into the night sky, far exceeding any standard bloom. The students are left breathless by the beautiful sight, while the arrogant teacher is stunned into silence. Toturi is overjoyed that her secret practice finally paid off, and her classmates swarm her with praise. Class D celebrates their friend's success, their laughter echoing through the garden. Later that night, Maiko stands alone in the garden, looking up at the moon in thought. Ibuki struggles to carry all the gift bags the students gave him as they walk through the moonlit grounds. He asks Solo if the massive floral display from earlier was actually his doing. Solo admits it, explaining he only did it to shut up the annoying teacher next to him. Ibuki is amazed by Solo's ability to use advanced magic right under another teacher's nose. Solo just shrugs it off, finding the whole thing more of a nuisance than a feat. Maiko suddenly steps out from behind a wall, having heard their entire conversation. Solo and Ibuki are both caught off guard, worried about how much she overheard. Maiko stares at Solo, admitting she originally thought he was just a boring and plain teacher. But she gives him a thumbs up, telling him that what he did for Toturi was actually pretty thoughtful. She admits that if Toturi had failed, it would have really brought down everyone's mood. Maiko spins around and heads off, leaving Solo and Ibuki alone in the hallway. Ibuki is furious at her disrespect towards Solo, but Solo tells him to just get used to it. He admits that Maiko was right about him being a bit boring, feeling a sting to his pride. Solo watches the students laughing in the distance, realizing they might not be as bad as he thought. He reminds Ibuki that their job is to make sure no one from Class D drops out, no matter what. Ibuki contemplates common reasons for students to drop out, like poor grades or behavioral issues. He recalls his earlier talk with Ms. Rose, who asked if he'd identified any students who might need special attention since he started 2 weeks ago. Solo breaks into a cold sweat, realizing he'd been so focused on the teacher being the target that he hadn't researched his own students at all. Their private conversation is interrupted by Maiko, who comes skidding in and demands to know if the rumors about Xiao are true. Solo blinks in confusion, having no idea who she is talking about. Maiko is absolutely appalled that Solo has managed to forget the name of a student in his very own class. She points out that Xiao hasn't attended a single class since Solo arrived, while Solo can only ask what's so special about him. It turns out Xiao Shahar is no ordinary student. He is student number 01. As the class president of 2D, rumors are flying that he is on the verge of being expelled from the academy. Solo and Ibuki share a stunned look, realizing they've missed a major problem right under their noses. Solo wakes up to another day at the academy. The school bell rings, marking the start of the morning routine. Somewhere else, a student named Xiao Shahar spends his time scratching his cat behind the ears. He looks pretty bored with the whole school thing. He stares at the sky, clearly missing something or someone. Back on campus, the students are hanging out by the fountain, as usual. Solo is putting on his best friendly teacher face while talking to his partner, Ibuki. Their conversation is interrupted when Maiko Cecilia rushes over with some bad news. She accidentally overheard the vice principal talking about kicking Xiao out of school. If he gets expelled, he'll drop out and likely turn into a monster. Solo and Ibuki realize they've got a major problem on their hands. Solo knows his real mission is to stop students from dropping out and becoming evil wizards. Ibuki wonders what kind of guy this Xiao even is. Turns out, he's the top student in Class D, student number 01. Solo can't even remember him because the guy never shows up for class. Maiko says they used to talk, but now even she doesn't know what's going on with him. Ibuki uses a quick spell to block Maiko's hearing so they can talk shop. Solo decides finding Xiao is the top priority. He says they need to figure out what the kid is thinking before they can convince him to stay. Maiko's impressed. Solo catches himself getting a bit too invested in this whole teacher role. Maiko immediately volunteers to help him track him down. Ibuki's suspicious, but Maiko claims she's just being a good classmate. She asks Ibuki why he's helping, and he flashes a fake smile. He tells her his big dream is to become a teacher himself one day. She buys it completely. Solo just thinks Ibuki is a lying little brat. Solo accepts the help, though he's worried they might blow their cover. Maiko leads the way while Solo keeps grumbling to himself about his partner. Ibuki asks Solo if he's ever thought about dropping the fake, nice guy persona. Solo says it's way too late for a character change, even if being insulted all the time sucks. He tells Ibuki he needs to learn to get along with the class if he wants the job to go smoothly. Ibuki isn't interested in being friends with their mission targets. He admits he has no idea what pretending to be friends even looks like since he's never had one. He was raised as an assassin from birth, so he never really had time for social lives. Solo es silent. Ibuki decides he'll just try his best not to accidentally kill any of the students. They start their search, navigating through the busy hallways filled with kids on brooms. They check the library and the common rooms, shouting Zhao's name, but get nothing. The mood takes a dip when it becomes clear he's nowhere on the main campus. Maiko mentions that Xiao is famous for just wandering the grounds and doing his own thing. Solo stares out the window, realizing their delinquent class rep is more of a ghost than a student. The Orion School has a long history of only caring about the best of the best. Maiko explains that at this school, your student number is basically your power level. Being number 01 means Xiao has the best grades and is basically the leader. Ibuki thinks a meritocracy sounds like paradise. Maiko just thinks he's a weirdo. Solo checks the class ranks and sees Ibuki is dead last at number 13. Maiko's just surprised he's a transfer student. But the guy they're looking for, Xiao Shahar, is the literal top of the class. Solo tried to do some digging in the staff room, but nobody knows anything about the kid. They finally spot him out in the field. Maiko points him out. There's the elusive number 1. As they get closer, they see Xiao is already caught up in some trouble. A group of arrogant third years have cornered him, complaining that he bumped into them and got their uniforms dirty. They're being typical bullies, demanding an apology and threatening to teach him some manners. Xiao isn't having it. With a casual earth snakes spell, he sends the upperclassmen flying. Solo's heart sinks. Fighting fellow students is a one-way ticket to expulsion, and he needs this kid to stay in school. Maiko tells him to just watch. She's not worried at all, because she knows what Xiao is capable of. Xiao is a total monster on the battlefield. The bullies don't stand a ghost of chance. He isn't just a big fish in a small pond. He's the number 1 student in the entire school. He absolutely wrecks them, leaving the third years in a pile of rubble. Maiko explains that back when they were first years, Xiao was the undisputed king of their grade. So, the big question is, how did a genius like that end up in the bottom-tier Class D? Solo realizes he's dealing with a major problem child who's probably way too smart for his own good. Xiao turns around with a huge, friendly grin as soon as he sees Maiko. Solo is stunned by the sudden mood swing. The kid goes from wrecking bullies to being a sweetheart in seconds. Xiao asks who the new guy is, and Solo introduces himself as the homeroom teacher. Xiao starts panicking because he realizes he's been talking to his teacher without any manners at all. He gives a proper, polite introduction, looking like a totally different person than the one who just used earth snakes. Solo is left wondering if this kid is actually just a nice guy who got pushed too far. Ibuki introduces himself as the new transfer student, keeping his usual cold expression. Xiao thinks Ibuki is cool and give him a friendly pat on the shoulder. Ibuki is less than thrilled. As a peace offering for his behavior, Xiao pulls something out of his pocket. It's a picture from his kitty photo collection. He really loves cats, huh? Ibuki just deadpans that he's a dog person and doesn't want the picture. Solo is just embarrassed by both of them. Maiko gets right to the point. She asks him why the heck he's thinking about dropping out. Xiao admits that he knows he's on the verge of being kicked out for his attendance record. Solo steps in, telling him that as his teacher, he really wants him to come back to class. He offers to help with whatever is keeping Xiao away, promising they can solve it together. Xiao laughs it off, saying he's just been playing hooky because the lessons are a total snooze fest. But then his face goes serious. He's perfectly fine with being expelled. To him, school is just a waste of time. He's done with the whole academy experience. He explains he doesn't hate the class or the people. He just doesn't see any point in staying. Solo realizes he has to offer something that the school can't if he wants to keep this student in line. Xiao tells him there's only one thing he wants to learn, and none of the official teachers will touch it. There's a sudden, dark intensity in his eyes that catches Solo off guard. Solo asks him to name it. What kind of magic is worth throwing his future away for? Xiao explains that it's forbidden stuff, magic that isn't in any textbook or library. Rumor has it that not even the principal or vice principal can pull it off. Solo just flashes a giant, encouraging grin. He tells Xiao that if he teaches him that magic, he has to promise to come to class. Xiao is skeptical, wondering if a simple new faculty member like Solo could possibly know such advanced magic. Solo just brushes it off with a calm smile. Maiko and Ibuki watch the exchange closely, clearly unsure of where this is going. Xiao bursts out laughing, finding Solo's pushiness hilarious given how plain he looks on the outside. Deciding to test him, Xiao tells the group to follow him to a specific spot. They walk deep into the woods until they come across a small, handmade grave. Solo asks what it is. Xiao explains with a sad smile that it belongs to Anpan, an old cat that passed away a few months ago. Anpan wasn't just a pet. He was Xiao's most precious friend since his first year at the academy. The playful air around Xiao vanishes, replaced by a look of deep, quiet longing. Then, he drops the bombshell. He wants Solo to teach him the magic to bring friends back from the dead. Maiko is horrified, shouting in disbelief at the sheer audacity of his request. Ibuki tries to keep her calm, but even he is shaken by Xiao's demand. Resurrection isn't just difficult. It's one of the 3 great magic taboos, a branch of magic that is strictly forbidden. Ibuki reminds them that these taboos are heavily controlled by the government and shouldn't even be attempted. He bluntly tells Xiao that it's impossible for a mere school instructor to know such forbidden arts. Xiao just laughs it off with a grin, claiming he was just asking and already knew what the answer would be. Since the school can't offer him what he truly wants, Xiao sees no reason to stay any longer. He coolly announces his intention to quit school right then and there, leaving Solo with a parting teach. As Xiao walks away, Maiko tries to call him back, but Ibuki's focus is entirely on Solo. He can feel something dangerous coming from him. Ibuki begins to wonder if Solo is actually an evil wizard who has already dabbled in the dark arts of the taboos. But before Xiao can get far, Solo calls out to him, asking if he'd really like to try and resurrect his friend together. The offer stops Xiao dead in his tracks. Maiko and Ibuki can't believe what they just heard. Ibuki's mind races as he analyzes Solo. If the man is as legendary an assassin as they say, it's because his magic power is off the charts. He realizes that the magic Solo showed earlier was just the tip of the iceberg. There's a massive amount of power still hidden away. Ibuki stares at Solo's confident smirk, realizing the man might actually be crazy enough to know the taboos. With a sharp, determined look, Solo promises to teach Xiao, declaring it his duty as a teacher. And so, the group begins their journey to the town of Torialtu to find the forbidden ingredients they'll need. The crew heads to Torialtu, the closest major town to the Orion School of Magic. Since it's basically right next door, it's the ultimate hangout spot for students. Maiko is absolutely hyped. It feels like she hasn't been to a proper town in forever. Ibuki, however, isn't here for a vacation. He treats this entire trip as a very serious extracurricular lesson. The streets are packed and full of life. Maiko is soaking in the energy, while Xiao just seems glad to be off campus. Solo has to remind them that this isn't a play date. He went through a lot of trouble to get permission for this excursion, so they need to stay focused. But keeping these kids on track is easier said than done. Maiko is already window shopping for nail polish and earrings, and Xiao is busy petting some city cats. Solo notices Ibuki's strained face and asks if he's got something on his mind. The kid finally snaps. He can't believe a teacher is actually going to demonstrate one of the 3 great magic taboos. Even for a great wizard, that should be impossible. Ibuki warns that teaching this forbidden knowledge to someone like Xiao is dangerous. Even if they change the future, Xiao is still one of the people destined to become an evil wizard. Solo just tells him to knock it off. He's blunt about it. He doesn't give a damn if the country gets wrecked or not. In his line of work, he could die any day, so long-term consequences are the least of his worries. He says worrying about the future of the nation is someone else's problem. Ibuki is left speechless by the teacher's nihilistic attitude. Solo gets back to business. His only goal right now is making sure Xiao doesn't drop out of school. He pops up behind Ibuki, startling him. Xiao laughs at the sudden arrival. He seems to be taking the friendship angle much better than Ibuki is. Ibuki is still reeling from being called a friend. Xiao wonders why he even tagged along, and Ibuki gives some stiff excuse about his dream of being an educator. Maiko is just happy to see everyone together. Solo leads them on a shopping spree. To perform this kind of magic, they're going to need a specific set of tools and materials found only in big magical hubs like this. They start browsing through the shop's inventory. Solo admits he'll likely lose his job if anyone finds out he's running a taboo magic workshop. Xiao just gives him a skeptical look. Xiao is genuinely pumped about the idea of bringing things back to life. Solo makes him promise to keep attending class in exchange for the lesson. They share a laugh, but Solo leans in and whispers that he has a specific plan in mind. Solo watches his students carefully. He's got something up his sleeve. Ibuki ends up as the pack mule, complaining about how much they bought. Maiko thinks it's all part of the number 0 experience. The list is pretty odd for forbidden magic. Flower crystals, ogre eyes, and common tree fruits. It sounds more like a strange recipe than a dark ritual. Xiao checks the bags and confirms they got everything. Ibuki is just relieved the shopping is over. Maiko is totally wiped out. She asks where Solo went, and Ibuki explains that the teacher needed some time alone to prepare himself. They start looking through the bags. The ingredients were surprisingly easy to find at a regular store. It's making them doubt if this is legit. Maiko isn't convinced. She looks at the fruit and crystals, wondering how these everyday items could possibly bring a cat back from the dead. Xiao chimes in. Even with his bad grades, he knows that the 3 great magic taboos are supposed to be a massive ordeal. Buying the parts at a local shop feels way too simple. The guys agree. Something about this feels off. There has to be more to it. Xiao imagines a dark, complex ritual involving skulls and mysterious hooded figures. Maybe Solo is going to teach him some top-secret incantation. Maiko is more worried about the legal side. If they actually pull off a taboo, she's certain the magic police will be knocking on their door in no time. Xiao looks at her and asks if she honestly believes Solo is going to show them real resurrection magic. He seems to have his own doubts now. Maiko says that ethically speaking, there's no way he'd actually do it. Ibuki, however, isn't so sure about Solo's ethics. Ibuki asks the obvious question. If Xiao thinks it's a fake, why is he still going along with it? Xiao smiles. He thinks it'll be interesting to see what Solo has planned, even if it's just a trick. To him, the curiosity is worth the trip. He laughs, saying if it actually turns out to be real, then he's hit the jackpot. Zhao's casual attitude about forbidden magic is starting to freak the others out. Maiko is genuinely surprised. She reminds Xiao that he absolutely hated teachers until today. Something about Solo must have reached him. Xiao leans in with a smug grin and asks if she's starting to like the teacher. Maiko reacts with pure disgust. She slams her hands on his shoulders, telling him to quit talking nonsense. The mere idea seems to offend her on a spiritual level. They start listing everything they find weird about him. He's always smiling to the point it's creepy, his classes are boring, and he's just plain. Losing his temper seems like it would be out of character. Maiko gets a serious look in her eyes. Despite his smile, she's convinced Solo is a bad teacher. There's a hidden layer to him they just can't see yet. Solo finally reappears, asking if they're all done with the shopping. He's wearing his usual carefree grin. And notice he's holding a bottle of alcohol. When they ask what it's for, he just tells them they'll find out once they get to where they're going. It's time to head to the caverns. Solo leads them to a secluded spot away from prying eyes, somewhere they can work in secret. He points them north, deep into the woods. There's a hidden cavern up there with plenty of water. Solo's expression shifts to something darker. It's time for their first lesson in taboo magic to begin. They arrive at the mouth of the Torialtic Caverns, a cold and damp opening in the earth. Inside, they find a massive underground lake. Solo decides this is the perfect spot for the ritual. With a simple spell, Solo lets everyone walk right on top of the water. He warns Maiko to stay steady, or she'll sink straight to the bottom. Ibuki is still panicking. He can't believe Solo is actually going through with one of the 3 great magic taboos. He warns that resurrection is a massive crime. If the Department of Magic catches wind of this, they'll all be arrested on the spot. Solo isn't bothered. He just says they simply won't find out. It's time to start the preliminary ritual. He tells them to offer up the ingredients they bought in town, dropping them into the water in a specific order. Solo names the forbidden magic, the Witch's Reunion. It's the spell that can bring back the dead. The students are stunned. They've only heard of witches in ancient legends. Solo explains that witches were an ancient tribe with magical power far beyond any human wizard alive today. The legend says a witch who lost someone precious created this magic out of a desperate wish to see them one last time. He looks at Xiao. This magic is powered by the depth of a person's grief and desire. Solo notes that witches buried their dead at sea, which is why the ritual requires water to bridge the gap between worlds. He pulls out the final ritual tool. He tells Xiao that only a wizard with an overwhelming desire to reunite with the dead can pull this off. It's all on Xiao now. Solo guarantees the spell will work if his heart is truly in it. Solo tells him to offer up the item he brought, the one thing that still connects him to the departed. Xiao pulls out the ribbon that once belonged to his cat, Anpan. He prepares to drop it into the swirling magic. The instructions are simple. Chant the incantation and picture the target as clearly as possible. Solo tells him to focus on everything, their look, their voice, and their name. Leave nothing to chance. Xiao closes his eyes and wishes with everything he has. He wants them to return. He whispers the forbidden words, Lull of Venus. The cavern erupts with light. The water begins to surge and glow with a ghostly energy. A bright, heart-shaped soul starts to flicker above the surface of the lake. Solo confirms it. Xiao successfully summoned the soul of the departed from the other side. But he warns that the spell isn't finished. Now, Xiao just has to offer one more thing to complete it. Solo opens a box to reveal a small, sleeping cat. It's the same one Xiao was playing with in town. Xiao realizes what's about to happen. His face goes pale as the weight of the ritual hits him. Solo explains that a summoned soul needs a physical vessel to inhabit. It needs a body made of flesh. To bring back a cat, you have to offer up a similar life as a sacrifice. That's the cost of the magic. Solo reveals he picked up the cat Xiao was playing with earlier, thinking it would be useful for the lesson. Xiao is horrified. He hands Xiao a dagger. The rules of the taboo are clear. The one who wants the resurrection must be the one to kill the sacrifice. Solo asks why they're acting so shocked. Forbidden magic always requires a life in exchange. Did they think it would be free? He looks Xiao dead in the eye. This is the reality of the witches' reunion, the magic that brings back the dead. He tells Xiao to give it a try. The boy is trembling, staring down at the innocent cat in the box. Solo explains that with common materials and enough desire, the spell is actually quite simple. That's why it's so dangerous. Xiao looks down at the blade in his hand. Solo tells him to show everyone what he's got, reminding him that he used to be the top of his class. Maiko shouts that this is impossible. If even the best wizards struggle with this, there's no way a student can pull it off. Solo just laughs it off. He only promised to teach the ritual. Whether Xiao has the guts to finish, it is entirely up to him. Xiao's mouth is set in a tight line, his teeth gritted. He's reached the point of no return. Maiko is left speechless by Solo's coldness. Solo starts splitting hairs, claiming he never actually said he'd do the resurrection for Xiao. He pulls out his favorite book, the teacher's guide, and says instructors aren't supposed to do everything for their students. Maiko thinks he's just being a jerk. The bookie tries to argue that this is incredibly unfair, but Xiao is past the point of listening. Xiao suddenly reaches out and grabs the box containing the sacrificial cat. Maiko screams for him to wait, her face filled with horror at what he's about to do. Solo doesn't seem to care. He just notes that the cat will be scared of the water once it wakes up. The cavern is quiet, save for the low hum of the magical ritual still in progress. The bookie pulls Solo aside and asks if he knew things would end up this way. Solo answers with a casual, more or less, showing how little he values the emotional weight of the situation. When a bookie asks what he would have done if the magic actually worked, Solo admits it was never possible to begin with. The bookie is stunned. If the magic was a lie, then why bother teaching it? Won't Xiao just quit school anyway? Solo's logic is cold. He was asked to teach the magic, and he did. In return, Xiao promised to attend class. Transaction complete. He thinks it's a brilliant way to stop a student from dropping out, regardless of the emotional fallout. The bookie has a sinking feeling that this isn't over. He doesn't believe Xiao will just walk away. Solo starts yelling about how he's just doing his job. He fulfilled the request, and now he wants his compensation. Maiko and the others are disgusted by his attitude. They can't believe he's treating a student's grief like a business deal. Without warning, Xiao lunges forward and grabs a bookie, pinning him. Xiao ignores the chaos and asks Solo another question about the spell's requirements. He repeats what Solo said about the sacrifice. It has to be a life similar to the one being resurrected. Xiao reveals that the friend he wants to bring back wasn't a cat. It was a boy his own age, someone a little shorter than him. The air in the cavern turns icy as the truth comes out. Xiao forgot to mention the most important part. He explains that it wasn't the cat he was after. He wanted to bring a human friend back from the dead. He holds up the ribbon, revealing it belonged to his friend who died only a year ago. Chow pulls out a knife and presses it against the bookie's throat. He asks if he can sacrifice a bookie to complete the spell instead. Solo stares at him, a nervous sweat breaking out. He realizes he might have created a monster by pushing the brat too far.